Shalom, I'm Shosh Badrosian from the National Public Diplomacy Directorate. I'll be taking a few questions after a couple of brief points to share with you today. Just make sure you put your questions in the chat of this Zoom with your name and your outlet. Thanks. Today is Thursday, December 4th, and it has been 790 days since 251 people were first taken captive as hostages inside of the Gaza Strip by Palestinian terrorists. These were not militants, as Sky News and other outlets have reported for 2 years. These were terrorists. Terrorists who will do anything to repeat October 7th and further their goal of annihilating the state of Israel. We are at a critical point in this ceasefire right now. On Wednesday night, Israel received the remains of the final foreign national that was kidnapped on October 7th. After the remains were transferred to our security forces in Gaza, it was confirmed by the Forensic Institute that the remains are of Sutisak Rintalak of blessed memory, who was originally from Thailand. Sutisak was murdered in the fields of Kibbutz Be'eri while he was farming the morning of October 7th. Terrorists then dragged his body into Gaza. Hamas has torn these families apart by holding onto their loved ones' bodies, their remains. Sutisak's father in Thailand spoke with an Israeli outlet just the other day, saying that he felt bad he still hasn't seen his son's body or anything, explaining that he wants his son's body back, even if it's just ashes left. Quote, "I want them to send whatever is left of him." Can you imagine a father all the way in Thailand having to deal with something like this? That's the direct quote from his father, a grieving father who hasn't seen his son in 2 years as he came to Israel for a better life. This is him. Sutisak would send money back to his family constantly on a near weekly basis. His mother told an Israeli outlet that her son wanted to save a bit more money and then come back to Thailand for good. And then October 7th happened. As you can see right here, this is what some of these videos, a Thai hostage being kidnapped into hospitals on October 7th. It's a horrific video. This was captured on October 7th by surveillance video. As you can see, a Thai hostage being brought into a hospital. As you can see, hospitals were used by Hamas. Many of these hostages came to Israel for a better life, working our fields in the south, tending to the farms of our kibbutzim. Some were students who arrived on internships to learn the advanced agricultural techniques. These are some Thai hostages who were released from Hamas captivity after 482 days. These terrorists in Gaza had a different idea. Even though these foreign nationals had no stake in this conflict, no warning of what Hamas was preparing for them just across the border, and no way to comprehend the terror that would strike them that horrific morning. Sutisak wasn't Jewish, and he wasn't Israeli. Neither were these hostages. He was simply here seeking opportunity. Hamas did not discriminate on October 7th, whether you were Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Asian, African, or any identity. Every innocent person in the terrorist path suffered the same barbarity. They did not stop to ask who was a local or who was a foreigner. They unleashed their brutality on every human being that they encountered. We know that 35 foreign nationals without Israeli citizenship were kidnapped by Palestinian terrorists on October 7th. These were people who had no idea the brutality that they would be facing on October 7th. Like we showed you some of these videos of hostages being taken into captivity in hospitals. Hamas has used these hospitals, exploiting them to hide hostages and keep them captive there. Almost every medical institution across Gaza was abused by terrorists to fire from as weapons and rocket storage, or even as headquarters. We showed you all of those videos on the screen of how our hostages, our foreign nationals, were treated on that horrific day. Our final last hostage that is still in captivity right now is Master Sergeant Ron Gvili, who was on medical leave for a broken shoulder on the morning of October 7th. A member of the counter-terror police unit Yassam, Ron rushed down to the southern border and he battled terrorists near Kibbutz Alumim. He was murdered that morning and his body was dragged into Gaza. Ron's mom wrote on Facebook, "The first to head out and the last to come back. We won't stop until you return." And neither will the Prime Minister, who has made this mission to bring our hostages home a personal undertaking. Israel is exhausting every effort until our final hostage, Ron Gvili, comes back home. At today's government meeting, Prime Minister Netanyahu confirmed Iran eliminated 14 terrorists in his battle against terrorists on that day. The Prime Minister is in regular contact with Ron Gvili's remarkable family, who have called the operations and plans to bring home 254 hostages from Gaza unbelievable. The Prime Minister is determined to bring Ron home. Next, I want to draw your attention to the interview the Prime Minister gave to the New York Times last night. As we get closer to reaching the second phase of the ceasefire plan, Prime Minister Netanyahu shared how he envisions the future of this phase to play out and why each step is so critical. Take a listen.
The second phase is to disarm Hamas and demilitarize Gaza. I think there's a third phase, which is to de-radicalize the Gazan population from 60 years of incredible incitement, incredible brainwashing, which has really has to be changed. But the first phase is you've got to get rid of Hamas. Now, that is going to happen in one of two ways. It could happen with an international force that the United States is trying to put together, and I hope they succeed. And if not, as President Trump has said, and I've said, it can be done the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is that we'll have to do it. I hope we don't, because I don't want to spend more blood and treasure, especially blood, of the Israelis, or for that matter, of Gazans. But if it needs to be done, Hamas can't stay there, and they won't.
It is paramount to understand that success of this ceasefire will come when all aspects of it are upheld. Unfortunately, for weeks now, as I've continued to say over and over again, Hamas has violated the ceasefire. On Wednesday, IDF soldiers operating in eastern Rafah were attacked by several terrorists who emerged from underground terror infrastructure. Now, the encounter left 5 IDF soldiers injured, including 1 combat soldier in serious condition. The IDF acted to fight off this ceasefire violation by Hamas and struck a Hamas terrorist using precise intelligence. Prime Minister Netanyahu sent his wishes for a speedy recovery to our heroic soldiers who were wounded in that clash. And the Prime Minister emphasized that Israel's policy is clear. Israel will not tolerate the harming of IDF soldiers and will respond accordingly. Next, as mentioned yesterday, Israel had a positive meeting with the Lebanese government and economic officials. At the direction of Prime Minister Netanyahu and as part of the ongoing security and dialogue between the United States, Israel, and Lebanon, the deputy head of the Foreign Policy Division at the National Security Council held a meeting in Lebanon with President Trump's advisor on the issue of Lebanon and with other relevant Lebanese civilian representatives. The meeting took place in a good atmosphere, and it was agreed that ideas would be formulated to advance possible economic cooperation between Israel and Lebanon, a historic development. Israel clarified that Hezbollah is required to disarm, regardless of the advancements of economic cooperation. Now, both sides agreed to hold a follow-up discussion. And also, in that New York Times interview last night, Prime Minister Netanyahu said the following about further cutting off Iran's terror axis with successful operations targeting the head of the snake, while also working with our neighbors together to confront our mutual enemies. Take a listen.
We removed this threat of nuclear annihilation that could have happened within a year. Iran, within a year, within 6 months, could have had its first atomic bomb. And they would have no compunction about throwing it at Israel.
And where do you think Iran is right now on that?
Well, I think we pushed them back a lot, Andrew.
How far?
Well, I think it's very hard to manufacture a bomb when your top scientists are knocked out. They had atomic scientists, and we knocked them out in the first 2 minutes of the war, along with their top command. We set them back. Does that mean that they won't try again? Of course they'll try again. But our focus right now is on the Iran axis, on their various proxies. On Hamas, let's finish the job there and open up a path for a different future for Gaza and for Israel. And the same thing is true of Hezbollah. I mean, we opened up the possibility of a change in Lebanon. I think it's also up to the people of Lebanon to seize the future of their own country. But we've brought down Hezbollah a lot, and we deal with the Houthis and any other proxies that we have to deal with. I think opportunities are vast. They're vast, but I think it requires more work.
Finally, to share with you in the government meeting this morning, the Prime Minister reiterated that Israel's success in its battle against the Axis terror is opening up opportunities for peace with our neighbors. He lauded Israel's strong and stable economy, where investments continue to flow and will do so in the future. The stock market is breaking records and the shekel has strengthened. Interest rates have also dropped and unemployment is at an all-time low. And just keep in mind, this all happened over the course of 2 years of war on several fronts. I can also share with you today, Prime Minister Netanyahu will be welcoming the German Chancellor on Sunday. Here at the Prime Minister's office, a joint press conference will also be held in the afternoon. I'll take a few questions right now. Joel Pollack from California Post. Can you comment on a protest yesterday in LA that targeted a Jewish community meeting at the Wilshire Boulevard Temple to discuss physical security with Israeli officials? I do not have any information on this, Joel, but I can look into it. Second question, can you comment on the challenge of negotiating with Lebanon while also carrying out airstrikes on Hezbollah? Like I reiterated inside of that briefing, I discussed that Israel will continue to defend itself and Hezbollah is required to disarm regardless of conversations that take place. And the state of Israel will continue to insist on the full enforcement of the ceasefire in Lebanon to ensure that this terror group is completely cut off. They're not rearming, that there's no threat to the state of Israel, its citizens, and our security forces as well. 3, Prime Minister Netanyahu said he's willing to come to New York. Is there a visit planned, and what would Israel do to prevent the Prime Minister's threatened arrest by Mayor-elect Mamdani? He had an interview yesterday with the New York Times, and he spoke a little bit about that. You can take a listen to it there. Steve Shear from Reuters. Given the political environment and political infighting within the coalition, how much effort is Netanyahu putting into passing the 2026 budget to ensure the government does not collapse by the end of March? Could not passing the budget be used to call for new elections? Well, the Prime Minister is a beyond strong leader, and he is pushing his agenda forward. We also released a statement on this as well from the government meeting this morning. You can take a look at that. Thomas Helm from The National, could you give more details about what was discussed in yesterday's talks between Israel and Lebanese representatives? What I can share with you is what I have already said in this briefing, in addition to yesterday, that these conversations did take place. They were historic, and Israel is working to create peace with its neighbors. This is what the Prime Minister has consistently said and will continue to say as we work to cut off our mutual enemies of these terror organizations, these Iranian proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and so on and so forth. And we will continue to protect Israel. Teresa, Forum Daily News, can you clarify what other conditions Israel considers necessary before reopening Gaza's main crossing and how today's transfer of remains factors into that decision? I'm not sure what today's transfer you are referring to. I'm assuming the transfer of our Thai national who was held hostage for 790 days that were finally returned yesterday. Remember, this was a Thai national. This was not even an Israeli. Hamas holds people. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. A Thai national was in captivity for more than 2 years. And let's remember, we still have our hostage, another Israeli hostage still in captivity. We have one hostage left. Hamas made an agreement at the beginning of this, more than 50 days ago now, that they would be releasing all 48 of our hostages within 72 hours. I'm standing up here more than 50 days since that agreement was made, and we still have one hostage in captivity. It's unacceptable. It is a violation of the agreement. They made a commitment. It is expected that that is to be upheld. Adam Parsons from Sky News, can you please confirm that Abu Shabab has been killed, and can you outline the relationship Israel had with Abu Shabab? I've seen these reports. I cannot comment at this time. And by the way, I was watching Sky News yesterday, and I noticed over and over again that Hamas terrorists are actually referred to as militants. These are terrorists. I have seen this widespread for 2 years now. Why is the term militant being used to describe people who came across the border, slaughtered communities, massacring them, taking people hostage for more than 2 years being defined as militants. This is a terror organization who believes in the jihadi movement. These are terrorists. Let's use the correct terminology here. We have seen it over and over again. Sky News has used it once again, nearly for 2 years, in addition to the BBC and so many other organizations. I read your outlets on a daily basis, and I would prefer, including the entire rest of the world who believes in democracy, to not see the word militant